Tonya Hofmann's fabulous. Tonya Hofmann's fabulous. Tonya Hofmann's fabulous, fabulous TV show. Tonya.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tonya Hofmann Fabulous TV show with my fabulous star guest, Miss Alicia White today. Woo woo, Alicia!
Hi, Tonya.
We're going to have so much fun today, as we usually do. You know, I love doing these presentations because, and these, TV shows, because it gives you an insight to different personalities, different viewpoints, different things that you probably haven't even thought of before. And that's personally something that thrills me, is to kind of go out and change the world by changing myself first. You know, it's about developing those skills that takes me to that next level. And I know Alicia has gone to the next level, and we'll talk to her shortly. So I wanted to give you a tip today to kind of help round about you, because each one of us has a brand. A lot of us don't think about it. Even if you're an employee, even if you're a stay-at-home mom, whatever you do, you have a brand. It's what people, when they meet you, what do they think of you? It could be that you're incredibly professional. It could be that you're incredibly nice and they want to get to know you. You may have the brand of, a stay-at-home mom or the next level executive. It could be all kinds of different branding. So think about it for yourself. What is your brand? Write it down, because it really does influence everything you do. You know, if you're going out for a job, when you introduce yourself, you are introducing your brand to your potential new, employer. If you're a self-employed person, you're introducing yourself to your possible new client. Or, if you're a speaker, to the next event person or whoever you're talking to. So it's really important to get that kind of under your belt, so that when you're approaching people, you're putting forth the brand you want. And that's really important to figure out. What is your brand that you want to appear? And usually most people see the branding that we're wanting them to see, because that's just kind of a reality of who we are. But a lot of times it could be something that you're like, well, what do they mean that, I was unapproachable? We may think that we're incredibly approachable. So sometimes knowing those things is huge for you in your business and anything that you do. And we are in the presence of a branding expert. Oh my goodness. So Alicia is Back of the Room Productions. She does speaker sheets. She did my speaker sheet. Look at this beautiful thing. It's a 4-page layout. Ooh, isn't that pretty picture of me? I mean, it goes on, and she did a fantastic job, and I'm so happy. She's also helping us rebrand our website. She's done our logo. We're redoing that. I love redoing things. And I just like, okay, Alicia, what's your ideas? So Alicia, tell us a little bit about you. How did you change your world? What makes you stand out and makes you, who you are today?
I'm nice.
Nice.
And I'm funny. But most importantly, I change the world by helping others realize their value and position their value in their product. Now, I know that's just so cliche. That's what I do. That's my business, is that I put the pieces together. I take the message from the brain and put it out on a printed material or some kind of digital material. I can do that all day long. But really what makes me unique is that I love people, and I love talking to people and getting to know them. And I have to say, it took a while to get there. And a lot of that is because I didn't value my own worth. And I'll go into that a little bit if you want, but just to say, once you discover your own self-worth and your value, you're unstoppable, and you want to share that with everybody. You want to help them discover their own value. And so that's what I'm doing, and I love that. And I'm literally changing the world from the front of the room by speaking on branding, speaking on products that can help give people's message legs long after they leave the stage. It's been fun, Tonya, and I just want to thank you for being a big catalyst in moving me in this direction. You've been a huge part in this, Tonya.
Well, and I guess because when I met you, you were me, right? Like, a couple years back, and you were like, "Oh no, I'm not ready. I'm not a speaker," and I'm like, "You are too. Get out there." And you did. And now you're like running all over the world, changing lives and everything.
I am. And it's because of the Public Speakers Association, being involved in that. And then your encouragement, you telling me, because again, I thought I'm just a graphic designer. It's wonderful to be a creative person. It's wonderful being a graphic designer, but when you throw yourself and all of these speakers and experts and business owners and coaches and writers, oh, I'm just a graphic designer. But then you realize I can be a speaker. I can be a coach. I can write a book. And so, like I said, you were one of the catalysts to get me in front of the stage, and I'll never forget you opened the door for me to speak in DC and Virginia Beach at the chapters there. And I'll never forget, I was so timid. I got up there in front of the group and I'm thinking, oh, I hope what I have to say has value. I don't know if it will have value. And I stood up there and I kind of, went through the first 15 minutes, because this was like a 45-minute presentation. That was scary. And I got up there, and I remember about 15 minutes through, I told the audience, I said, I have 3 points that you need to remember. And they all took out their pen, they got their paper ready, and then they sat and they looked at me and I waited. And I went, oh, they're going to write down what I'm saying. And they did. And that's when I realized, okay, I can get into this.
Right. And you're so adorable. I love working with people that open up their minds, open up their experience, and say, okay, I haven't done this yet, but doesn't mean I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And that's, I think, is, a big kudos to you. You and I have a lot of the same kind of personality. We will try and tackle something and see what happens, because
Yes.
It usually is a positive, amazing thing, even though it may not even be on the path that we were even headed.
Exactly. I know, right? And sometimes there is that shiny object thing, but one thing I noticed about you, you'll go down that path to discover it, see what it's all about, and then you come back and you focus, and because you've picked up something out here, you're able to apply it to your business and make it even more successful. And I find I do the same. So yeah, we have a lot of that in common. Yeah.
It's really, to me, everything boils down to, how do you market yourself and stay within integrity, right? How do you bring the people around you forward that you want around you? Because not everyone is your target market. So it's about really developing those skills to drive the right people to you. And that's, again, about branding yourself, right?
It's about branding yourself. And, that was one of the most powerful lessons I learned early on. I remember going to a networking meeting when I was just starting my graphic design firm in 2004. And there was another graphic designer there. I said, oh, you're going to be kidding me. Now we're going to compete. And would you believe it or not, that gentleman took me aside. He said, hey, we could work together. I went, work together? What do you mean by that? Well, he had skills and talents that I didn't have, and vice versa. So we were able to merge those talents and work together with different clients. It was amazing. And so now when I see other graphic designers, I'm not thinking, oh, they're going to start doing this and that. how can I bring them in and help them flourish,
Right.
So and then when I see the speakers and the coaches, yes, it's all about branding. And that's one of the things that I do well that some graphic designers may not have that expertise, but they have something else like website design that I can call on. So it's been great. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's the hardest thing for most people, especially when they're just getting into owning their own business, is looking at what makes them really different from people in their same genre. And
Yes.
then how do you utilize those skills to connect with the people that are in the same space? Because I have found over and over again that those are the most brilliant collaborative partners that I can ever look for, is people that are actually in my same target market.
Exactly. Oh, I know, right? Yeah. I'm with you there.
So tell us a little bit about, how you go out and change the world. So give us some tips and techniques that you can help people that are listening.
I have a couple of ideas, and I actually wrote this in an international best-selling book. It was a collaboration of authors called Share Your Message with the World, compiled by Tonya Gambone. And I came up with a list, and one of the first things I tell people is have a support team. If it's not your husband, find a friend. If it's not a friend, find a parent or a colleague, a peer. You have to have that support team when you go out there, and because they're the ones that you're going to want to bounce ideas off of. And then when it gets tough, because it always gets tough, there's always a problem, you can again go back to that support team and say, am I doing this right? Am I on the right path? And they'll guide you and encourage you. So surround yourself with people who are encouraging and will give you honest advice. And I know some business leaders, they're the only person in their job. I mean, it's a one-person job and a solopreneur, but they actually put together an advisory board. I thought, well, that's a brilliant idea, to pull 4 or 5 different individuals from different areas and meet with them quarterly. And so that's a great way to go. That's one of the things.
Absolutely. Because I see people trying to do it. I could do it all myself. I could do it. And I'm like, no, it really doesn't work that way. My husband is a geek, and believe me, it's brilliant to be married to a geek. And he has not only a skill set that I don't, but also a mindset that I don't have. He's very analytical, and mine's very creative. So with us together as partners, it really does gel very well. So if you don't have somebody like that, you need to find somebody. And I always like to find someone that I can just throw ideas at and get opinions from, someone that's a colleague that is about the same standing that I am, so that if I'm like, does this pricing sound right? Or does this, title sound right? Or whatever, I can kind of bounce it off them.
Exactly. And you can surround yourself with yes people all day long, but you're not going to get anywhere, So I agree with what you just said, with colleagues who are going to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your other tip?
The fact that you can reinvent yourself at any time. Oh, yeah. Well, let's put it this way. I was a nuclear medicine technologist for 10 years. Well, because when I graduated high school, my dad was insistent that I go into a science and math field. Okay, Dad, I'll pursue that. And I did it. But I had a very encouraging supervisor, radiology director, and husband who said, you ought to try public relations. So I actually reinvented myself, went back to college, got another bachelor's, and I ended up, through a long story, I'm now a graphic designer, right? Well, I worked for the corporate world until 2004. And my husband, again, my support team, he encouraged me to go out on my own. Okay, so now I think that's career number 3, where I'm now a design firm owner. I own this design firm. And I go along, I'm doing well. I'm working with medical facilities, with auto retail shops, with a bank that had several locations, I had it going on. Oh, but then 2008, 2009 happened. And when the economy started tanking, the budgets went away and my clients went away. And I will tell you, Tonya, this is kind of where my self-worth came into question. You know, I wasn't getting the clients that I used to. I didn't have to market myself. People came to me. I was lucky. But in 2009, they went away. I reinvented myself one more time, and I focused on speakers, coaches, authors, and it has been a wild, wonderful ride. I can't tell you how pleased I am with it starting in November 2011. So we're going on 3 years now of a different target audience. Now I'm still doing graphic design, but I changed my target audience. And now I've reinvented myself even further. Last year I became a public speaker. Thank you, Tonya. This year, I am a coach. I am a speaker branding coach. I now offer VIP days. Who knew? So always be open to reinvention.
Well, and gosh, how many times have I reinvented myself? I mean, I've been a business owner since I was 25, you know, and that was retail stores I owned. And so I think what happens is for most people is they look at their life on a concrete road. They know it's safe. There's not potholes, right? They don't have to worry about dodging anything. They just know exactly where that road is taking them. But how boring is that?
Oh.
So I'm always like looking off to the edges, you know, to see where other paths are. And that's where the excitement happens. And so I would just see an opportunity, a door would open, and I would just go through it to see where it would take me. And sometimes, yeah, wasn't exactly where I would have liked to have gone, but it gave me experience.
Oh, yeah.
And it gave me insight so that now I could really talk about pretty much anything. You know, so it's that kind of ability that I think that a lot of people get stuck, and I think that's why a lot of people have a hard time finding another career when they lose their job, because they've been doing one thing their whole life. They were on that concrete road, and suddenly the concrete road ended.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to find other roads. They don't know how to go and explore the forest.
They don't, and that's what was really interesting. I went back to my hometown, and it's not that North Little Rock or Little Rock, Arkansas is a small town by any means, but there's a different mindset of when I was around some of the individuals there. They're the, 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, 2 weeks of vacation a year. I didn't find entrepreneurial spirit there that I do here in Texas. So imagine if I were still in Little Rock, I would probably be working a 9 to 5. So I think a lot of people might have that desire to do something, but their environment doesn't allow them to do that. So I have to say, if you think for 1 second that you want to do something different and you're not happy in your job, you can reinvent yourself. You can create that job for you. As a matter of fact, I worked in a hospital, and there was a woman who was who just had a new director put over her, and she was like, I don't know if he's going to keep me or fire me or what, because I'm not I don't know if he finds me essential. I said, well, Daddy, all you have to do is just start a new job title so that you are essential, and start doing stuff without being asked. Just do it. She created her own job position that HR approved and got a raise and was still employed. So who knew I was smart back then,
Right. I know people a lot of times just wait for something to happen to them instead of creating opportunities for themselves. I see this a lot in speakers. They're like, well, I'm just sitting here waiting for someone to give me an opportunity to go and speak. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. You got to go out there. You got to make something happen,
Yes.
Stop trying to wait. Life is not about waiting. Life is about
waiting. You have to do it.
Yeah, you See me waiting? No.
No, no, not at all.
Trying to think if I ever waited, It's like, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we don't give you much time to think, do we? We're usually like, okay, Tonya, come on, let's go, because we know you're going to have the answer.
At least I try, But
Yeah.
I learned a long time ago is getting over the fear of failure. A lot of people, that keeps them from ever accomplishing anything because they're so worried about it not working. And
Yeah,
to me, when it doesn't work, that just means it didn't work. That means I just learned what doesn't work and go try something else that possibly will work. And that's really how I think you become successful. That's branding, right? You try a brand, doesn't work. I've tried this color, doesn't quite work. You keep adjusting until you get the magic potion, but you can't find the magic potion until you keep putting in all of the ingredients.
exactly. And I do want to touch on branding here in a second, but I do want to address the feeling like a failure or being perfect. Oh, honey, I've struggled with that all my life. And I think many of us have. And I think women are more prone to having that challenge of being perfect and being, the quiet little girl, sitting at the table with her legs crossed and things of that nature. But I just want people to know that even though I'm successful, I consider myself very successful and I'm out there, I'm an influencer, but I still struggle with failure. I still do. And it's okay. And I know, and it does hold me back a little bit. But because I have that support team, those encouragers saying, just do it, I do it eventually. It's on my own time, but I do it eventually. So.
Well, anyone who's listening, if you feel like, should I do this? I might fail. Just picture me going bop on your head. Just bop yourself on the head and say, Tonya says, stop it. Stop.
And I'll give you a high five when you do it.
Woo! That sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just need to be bopped on the head sometimes,
We do.
And you had one more tip that you wanted to give us?
On branding, I'm so happy that you opened the show with branding, because that's one of the things that I want to share with everybody. Being consistent in your branding. Well, first, find a brand that's congruent for you. Like Tonya said, find the colors that work for you. Find the message that works for you, because your message has to be congruent with who you are. What's your integrity? What's your work ethic? Make sure it's all congruent. Once you've determined what that is, then start promoting that brand, your brand, consistently on everything. I know if you're creative like me, you don't want everything to look the same, matchy, but it's so important. It's just like a song on the radio that you hear over and over again. The first time you hear it, you're like, oh, that's a catchy tune. The second time, you might be singing some of the words. By the fourth and fifth time, you are singing it loud and proud with the windows down in the car, and the people are looking at you like you're crazy, so it's okay. You want your brand to repeat itself in every place. So websites, Facebook covers, your blog, your LinkedIn profile. You want the message, which is the wording of it, plus those colors and that style that you decide upon, whether it's corporate, fun, goth, whatever. Find the style that works for you and use that everywhere in everything you do, so that it repeats itself. Because the more times that people see that brand, the more they're going to recall you.
Sounds good. Of course, my phone decides to go off, and I don't know how to get it to stop. Isn't that funny?
Things happen. I'm waiting for my cat to jump
Can I call
up
you
in
right
the
back? Bye. That is hilarious. Okay. There's the one phone that I don't know how to mute, and of course that's what happens, right? That goes along with our being perfect, right?
You can't be perfect.
And that's what I used so long ago. I came up with 2 rules. You got to be nice. No mean, grumpy, negative people allowed. And then the other one is you can't be perfect. Only imperfect people, please. Because, it's like this, there's some things you can't do. Usually my husband's like ready to the phone, but of course he went to go get the kiddo from school. There's always something.
Exactly.
And I always look at it too. It's kind of part of my branding. If you don't like the imperfectness of who I am and what happens, you are not my peep. You need to go someplace else.
Right. Right. Again, it's being congruent with your message, who you are and your message, you know?
It was so funny. Elizabeth Quintanilla was on the TV show the other day, and the doorbell kept ringing for her, and it wouldn't stop. And she's like, "Oh my gosh!" So she just picks up the whole laptop. She's walking and talking with the laptop the whole way. And there was a postman who had to give her something. I don't remember what the whole
Oh,
scenario was. It was, to me, it was brilliant. I loved every moment of it. It was so fun. It's
that's
like you get to be a
hilarious.
part of somebody's world for a minute, you know?
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
And, really looking at what is that branding that you're trying to get across. If you're always wanted to be things perfected, if something like that happened, it would be a pin poke. It would be an explosion in your balloon because everything is very congruent with each other. So I think there is an issue with people that they don't think through their whole process. What does that whole process mean? And that's why I love hanging around people like you that can help me look at things strategically. Does this really make sense for branding?
Oh, and Tonya, before I started working with speakers and coaches, I'd have a business owner come to me and say, I want this. I can give you that, but it's not consistent with your message. It looks completely different from your brand, but I can do it. But I would educate them on why it's important to, maybe we do have a different look. It's okay. I do want to stress, it's okay to have a different style come out promoting your brand. What needs to be consistent is that logo and whatever contact information you want to use. Okay, have that in the same spot on everything, whether it's the right-hand lower corner, that's fine. But my purpose of sharing this is that you've got to have that consistency. It can look a little different, but if it's way off the charts different, people aren't going to recognize you or remember you.
Yeah.
Now, if you're testing your brand, you may want to do that. You may, if you want to go with a new brand, you can do that. You can, show people the brand that you've been using for years, and you can introduce a new brand and do some A/B testing. See which one people respond to, because they might like this brand that's a little off the charts from where you usually come from, because they may say that it fits you better. And I know, Tonya, you have a tip, and I don't know if you want to share that right now or later, but it's about the people writing down their first impression of you or an adjective of you.
I love doing this, and we're going to be doing it in November at our chapter meetings, where I've come up with some really good ideas sometimes. And one of my events, I had everybody have an index card. You write your name at the top, and then you have like 4 or 6 people, even up to 8 people at a table, and you just hand that index card to the person to your right, and then it just goes around to each person all the way around the table, and they write what they think about you. When you get it back to you, it's an eye-opener, because that is your brand. What they see you as, what they feel that you are, they will write. And so if you're always the perfect person, people will write perfection. They will use the words that really represent you, and that really is your brand.
Yes, and we did that exercise at our chapter and a couple of weeks ago, and I wish I had my card in front of me, but a lot of it rang true to who I am as a person, friendly, warm, personable. But what I started thinking, well, is my brand, Back of the Room Productions, it's so linear. I mean, it's, there's some kind of, hard edges with a little soft edge, but maybe I need to look at making something a little bit more congruent with who I am, since I am the face of my company.
Exactly. I love that idea, and a lot of times we have to step back in order to move forward.
Yeah.
You have to look at, does it make sense? Does this go with who you are?
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people, when they do their picture, their headshots, they look like a financial advisor. Even financial advisors shouldn't look like financial advisors. What is your brand? Especially if you're a speaker, it should be about energy. It should be about excitement, because who wants someone boring on stage? So
Right.
you have to really look at what is the pictures of you even saying about you. Is
Mm-hmm.
it saying that you're someone that people want to know? Do you look nice? There's a fantastic gentleman in Vegas who has a sparkling personality and he is so adorable, but his picture is a little scary.
Oh.
And I told him, I said, you're a very strong man. He's bald and he's got an earring and he looks a little, Vegas-ish,
Okay. Yeah.
And I said, you need to tone that
Too much
down.
bling.
Just a little too much. So yeah, we do have a lot to learn from each other. So can you tell us, you're giving away a great offer. What is that?
All right. Thank you for mentioning that, Tonya, because this is the one thing that speakers need to get in front of the decision makers for events and conferences, seminars. People are asking for your speaker sheet. If you haven't been asked for your speaker sheet, number one, you aren't promoting yourself as a speaker. So start promoting yourself as a speaker. And I have an offer for that, but actually it's called the Get Booked Pick Pack. And I usually charge $147, but I would offer it to you for $97. You just need to call me at 214-556-4947 or email me at Alicia, ALICIA, at BOR, as in back of room, product.com. Now, that was something I didn't tell Tonya that I was going to get to you, but I want to make sure you're promoting yourself as a speaker. Now, if you are a speaker and you're ready to get in front of those event planners, you need a speaker sheet. I am giving away for free the top 5 must-haves that you need on your speaker sheet. All you have to do is go to speakersheets.com. Speaker, SPEAKER, sheets, SHEETS.com. It's quick and easy. Your name, your email, hit send, and that checklist will be sent to your email.
Nice. So then you could have a whole speaker sheet yourself and make sure you've got the right things in it that
Yes.
will make you stand out. And that's really what it's about.
These are the 5 things that event planners are looking for. And if you have those on your speaker sheet, then you're on the right path.
Perfect. All right, everyone, take advantage of Alicia's offer. Oh my gosh, such amazing offer. And then get connected with her. Like I tell you every time, these people are so open and kind, and they're really wanting to connect with you. So even if you just want to pick her brain a little bit about your brand and see what she would do differently, talk to her. You never know where it will go. And I always, reach out and talk to the experts, people that know what they're doing because they're actually doing it for themselves. And Alicia's a perfect example of that. She's not only a creative, graphics person, but she's a speaker also. So it makes it a great one. So get in touch with Alicia. Also go to my website, Public Speakers with an S, association.com. If you would like to download my speaker sheet and see what the whole thing and read it and everything, you could go to my personal website, and that's Tonya, Tonya, Hofmann, HOF, 1F like Frank, MANN, Nancy.com, TonyaHoffman.com. All right, everyone, I will see you next time. Thank you, Alicia, for being on today.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.